pass to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Welcome to Patriots Touchback Podcast.
Hello and welcome to an all-new season of the Patriots Touchback Podcast. It is Season 3, Episode 1. I am your host for tonight, Nick. Carl is unavailable due to the other football being on. With me tonight, I have Kieran, DJ, and Joe will be joining us momentarily. Before we get going, we are now part of the AAW network. We want to thank Aaron Fletcher, for taking us on, for giving us the faith he has in us to reach a new audience. If you're not new to the AAW network, you may notice my voice or ugly mug from the College Football Podcast. Carl, who's missing tonight, is also part of the Hurdle the Line podcast. So you will notice some similarities there. What I would like to do is just say from all of us, the guys that are here, the guys that are not here, how pleased we are to join the network. Like I said, I've been part of it for a year now. And, really do appreciate everything that Fletch does. I'm sure he'll see this, so, you can pay me later, Fletch. So we are delighted to bring our show here. And we hope that if you're not new, you stay with us as normal. If you are new, we hope you enjoy the show. We are available on all of the social platforms, on X, on Facebook, on Instagram. You can watch the podcast live on YouTube. You can download it on Spotify and Apple. There are plenty of ways to listen, to watch us. So please do interact with us. Send your questions. We all monitor some part of each part of the social media. So you will get one of us at least, and we will try to interact with you as much as we can. Yes, guys, has anyone got anything they want to say?
No, I mean in regards to the network, I think it's a good step forward for us. It's going to be a fresher breath of air, so I think it's positive and it's moving in the right direction. I think Fletch, as what he does for his own network and what he can contribute to us as well, I think it's a win-win situation. So I'm very happy and very looking forward to working with him for the future for this pod and for the whole network itself.
Fair enough. I said I'll just give you a quick lowdown if you are new. I'm Nick. I'm one of the guys that tends to host. Carl will host a lot. I've been a Patriots fan since '99, pre-Brady, and I love doing the show. Kieran.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Also, just an apology to anyone in advance. I've been battling man flu for the last few days, so if I have coughing fits during the show, I do apologise in advance. But yeah, I'm Kieran, Pats fan since '08, based out of Ipswich in Suffolk. And excited to be part of my second season now on this podcast. But obviously our first now that we're part of the AAW network.
Joe, welcome.
Hello, gents. How are we doing? Again, massive thanks to Fletcher for having us at the AAW network. We're all really, really excited to get to work this season on it. So my name's Joe. You can find me on Joe Country Rebel UK on Instagram. Again, been a Pats fan since 96, 97. I had my first jersey brought back to me by my aunt, a throwback Willie McGuinness jersey from back in the day that was about 30 sizes too big and is still 30 sizes too big. Really buzzing to be part of the team again this season. And hopefully looking to be a more positive season for us on the win column boards. And I'm sure if you stick with us through the season, we'll get to it. It's a great team here at Patriots Touchback. And yeah, we're all really, really excited and looking forward to the year ahead.
DJ.
Yep. So my name's DJ. You may have seen me across a couple of episodes that Fletch runs with Hurdle of the Line. So I've been a Pats fan for about a good 15, 16 years now. The reason why that happened was because when I met the other half, she was a Peyton Manning fan, so I just went the opposite and decided to stick with Brady. So yeah, like I say, we've been podding now for this is our third year, still going strong. So yeah, all good.
All right. So they are the team members you have present right now. Obviously, Carl's missing today and JD's missing today. You will meet them all in good time. But we will get on with the show and the news. Does anyone have anything that they wish to speak in particular? I've got 3 items, but it's depending on what anyone else has got.
Just 3, I think. We've already spoken about.
Yeah, I think the last show we did have a deep dive into the free agency signings that we had signed, and then obviously that we've then probably signed a couple more after that since our last show. One of those being Stephon Diggs, which I think is one of Nick's pieces that he's got on the bit of paper. So yeah, that was a much needed wide receiver hole to fill. The question is he going to be back to the Stephon Diggs that we know that he is? Especially he's 31 years old. He's coming off his ACL, so there's always going to be doubts, which I think is the reason why the contract was given and the way it was given. So I think it's very much of a kind of a 1-year get out deal. You actually have the ability to get out of it in a year's, because you're paying, I think, much of the guaranteed amount up front. So it gives you the option to cut if you don't feel that it's going in the right direction. But I think in terms of money wise, I can't remember off the top of my head how much it was. Was it 20 something in total? 26 was it or something?
The 26 guaranteed of 69 million total deal.
Yeah, what was reported wasn't exactly close. I think it's closer to the base value of the deal is 63.5, not 69.
Yeah.
To get 69 million, Diggs would have to play the Pro Bowl every year and catch 100 passes for 1,300 yards in this season alone.
Incentives, yeah.
There's a various few protections in there. One of the protections in the contract says that if Diggs fails a physical at any time between signing now and pre-season or training camp, the Patriots can release him without cost. Won't cost them a penny. They'll get their signing bonus money back. So I think his signing bonus money is just being held temporarily, and providing he passes a physical at any point before training camp, then he'll be fine. But if he fails a physical based on his knee, then they can release him without any financial penalty. So I think, the Patriots have taken a gamble on him, but they've also, covered their own backside. But I think you're talking about a man, 857 receptions, nearly 10,500 yards, 70 touchdowns, 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons. If he's on it, he's well worth having on your roster. So,
yeah.
Gives
that extra weapon to make
for another 1,000-yard season last year.
Yes.
I mean, the one thing I want to add about the Stephon Diggs signing, which I'm absolutely buzzing to touch it. I'm a huge Stephon Diggs fan, was when he was at Buffalo and even Minnesota. What I'm fed up of reading, and I don't know where this narrative comes from, is that Stephon Diggs is a poison in the dressing room.
Yeah, I think it's more of his.
I just
his
don't
character,
get it. His character's I'm fine with that. You want your wide receiver one to be your prima donna. You want him to be getting grumpy when he's not getting 10 receptions a game because he's going to feed on it.
Yeah,
but the media narrative, and Kieran, you'll know this better than any of us, mate, having worked in media before in sports. That there's just this media narrative that's been built up of him when, in fact, it's the complete opposite. If you speak to any of his teammates from last season in Houston, especially with a young quarterback and a young team, he was the leader. He was brought in, and he was really well thought of within that group. He helped bring them on. The same in Buffalo. Again, the guy is a leader. He just wants to win. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think it's going to be. I think he's going to do some wonder things this year, especially for Drake May in the passing game. It's a legitimate option and probably one of the best receivers we've had in a long time.
What you mentioned, Joe, I'd heard the same, and I kind of think that's why he was maybe overlooked at the start of free agency in terms of as a potential target. He wasn't certainly top of my list, and I'd heard in the past kind of outstayed his welcome in Buffalo, and Houston are moving on after 1 year. How much of that is attributed to personality? But once I heard from the reputable sources that we have that work in the Boston sports media, there's respected reporters like Phil Perry that had spoken to coaches that he'd had in Buffalo and Houston that both just said, that's bullshit. This guy is great to have in the locker room. Everyone loves him. That had me sold at that point. I was like, right, well, if that's coming direct from a coach who's worked with him, that's been in that environment, in that locker room, that's all you need to know. You don't believe the smoke. So that for me was enough. I like what I heard from him in the press conference. He's definitely got some kind of, almost not arrogance. He's kind of got the right balance between confidence and arrogance. And I think, like you said, having an alpha in the locker room to help get the most out of the other players in that team as well. It's a lot, a young receiver room. He might be able to help those guys. He was on pace for 1,000 yards again last year before the injury. He's proven, if he can come back somewhat close to where he was before, still going to be a very good player. And we've protected ourselves with the contract. So, I don't see a negative part of this.
Like I say, I'd be happy for him just to come in, just to be a safe spot for May to utilize him as his skill, what he does in the past and his skill levels. But May should be able to use him and be his go-to guy. That's where I want Diggs to be. As long as he's doing that, then I'm all for that, because he's the best wide receiver we've got currently in that group. So
before we move on, pop quiz. He was drafted in 2015 to Minnesota. Out of which college? Anybody?
Maryland.
Correct. Well done.
In round 5.
Correct. Don't get any extra points for round 5. You can have a point for Maryland. Well done.
Thank you.
Right. Moving on. The second bit of news was a departure. Jawan Bentley left the Patriots last week. Also a 5th round pick in 2018 out of Purdue. Super Bowl champion in 2019. 499 tackles, 10.5 sacks, 21 interceptions, 2 interceptions, and 4 forced fumbles across his career at the Patriots. DJ, how did you? I noticed you were tweeting in the other Patriots groups. How did you feel about
that? I didn't know. I was surprised, to be honest. I would have thought Bentley would have been the type that you want to have in that middle linebacker group. Obviously, I think from the press conference that Vrabel had at the players meeting, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, maybe last week, I think he did he did go into a bit of detail in regards to. I think he just didn't fit. It was a hard choice to make at the end of the day. He did recognise that, but I think it came down to a different scheme that they probably want to run just didn't fit Bentley's best performance or his best abilities. So I think they have obviously then come to an agreement where it's probably best to part ways and allow Bentley to go and foresee some of it, which I'm surprised enough, I don't think he's been picked up yet. So yeah, I think it's more of a systematic scheme fit that he just wasn't going to be part of that anymore. Yeah, you got the likes of, who did we bring in? Spillane and
Gibbons.
And Andrew Gibbons as well also got signed as well. So I think it kind of then got overcrowded, and I think it came down to who wasn't probably going to be systematically used for depth.
If you look at the scheme that the Vrabel wants to run, like you said, DJ, it's very much sideline to sideline, linebackers that weigh below 230, normally in the 220s, that can get sideline to sideline, more speed. And Jerome Bentley is a downhill, bigger thumper of a linebacker, just is not a scheme fit. Now, I was not surprised that we released him, but I was surprised that he's gone before Tavai, who is heavier and also, got to be on the chopping block as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we bring in another fourth linebacker, so that we run with Spillane, Gibbons, Ellis, and another, because they're all the same body type. They're all athletic, faster, lighter linebackers, sideline to sideline. So it does just show the shift in the scheme for me. So
I also think
it's a shame. He's a great player, but
yeah,
it is.
I think he's had a bit of injury issues as well in the last couple of years. He hasn't been fully fit. He hasn't been able to surpass a whole season, I think, in the last 3. So it's probably a bit of both aspects, I think, from that respect.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I think it was just, I thought he may have been kept around just for, I think he's someone who will buy into what Vrabel's trying to achieve and what he wants. Like you say, Vrabel is very much an alpha, and I think I was a bit surprised maybe to see him go this early. I thought maybe he could have been potentially kept until training camp and have a look at something like either a release or a potential trade towards the end of training camp, depending on the injuries elsewhere. So yeah, I'm a bit surprised to see him just be released this early in the off season. But again, like you say, I think the way that Vrabel wants to play it with his linebackers from side to side, they need to be athletic. They need to be able to open up and get across. And I think maybe that's the reason why you've seen Bentley be released.
Before we move on to the Joe Milton news, I just want to just highlight yesterday, Monday, for us being recording. Yesterday, OTA started. We were allowed to start a week earlier because of having a new coach. There was an unofficial attendance of 60 out of 69 players. More players could have attended, but based on pictures of players arriving and what have you, the press seemed to think there was at least 60 of the 69 players under contract that attended. So everyone worked out. Barmore was there. He worked out. Apparently, Mike Vrabel has said Barmore will be monitored very closely, and his health will be put ahead of the team when they review his status on a frequent basis. So that happened. That started yesterday. Before that, we had the trade news. QB going out, Joe Milton III, traded to Dallas for a 5th round. We had to give them a 7th rounder as well to get that 5th round. He was, for the majority of the time, he was our 3rd QB last year. He did play in the debacle that was week 18. And, I'm all for the fact that, yes, he threw 22 out of 29 passes, 241 yards, a touchdown, 23-16 victory. Whoop-de-doo. He cost us the first-round pick. So somebody else, by all means, talk about him, because I've got no excitement at all.
I think I'm the same as Nick. I mean, he was never going to trouble Drake May to be the starting QB. It was from reports he was very much a pro Gerald Mayo guy, and realistically for me, it's just I just don't see for me, I think sometimes you like to have your QB and your backup QB to be as similar as possible, so there's a transition if and when needed. And Joe Milton is not and Drake May are the complete polar opposite quarterbacks, in my opinion. And I think it's just I think the Patriots have done right by him. By reports, I think there were better offers in for Milton. However, they've obviously let him make his decision of where he would like to go. And yeah, I mean, and best of luck to him. I mean, he's going to Dallas, so enough said. We all know what Jerry's world's like. So
I got two things on this. First of all, like we need to calm down a little bit with the whole Joe Milton hype, from some of the fan base. Like, as Nick said, a nothing game that Buffalo were trying to lose last year, and he played well, right? But if you remember rightly, going back to the draft process last year, many people, including myself and JD, were telling you that, yes, he's athletic and got an absolute cannon for an arm, but he can't play the QB position because he doesn't understand reads and that he's wildly inaccurate. Okay, yes, he's obviously had a year of development and, he did look good in that final game, but you're not going to increase your trade value on him by a substantial amount based off of that one game. So when I'm seeing the fan base crying that we didn't get a third-round pick, give your head a wobble. Like, we've made a profit on him. That's good enough. And it's by the sound of things as well, he wanted to go to be somewhere where he felt like he could compete for the starting job. Now, Drake May is our starting quarterback, and that is not going to change barring a calamity. So realistically, he's not going to get the chance to play here. And if that's elsewhere, then so be it. It sounded like the team wanted to avoid a situation where they have an unhappy third string that believes he should be playing and creates animosity in the locker room. So they've removed that situation before it's even got to it. So literally, there's nothing wrong with what's happened. We've now got a fifth rounder instead of a seventh. And that might give us some maneuverability in maybe the fourth round or maybe late in the third round. You package a pick together, you might be able to move up and get yourself a good player. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a win-win. Good luck to him. Dobbs will be a solid backup. But Drake's our guy. Like, we don't need Joe Milton.
Got the astronaut.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't got a sixth round pick. So trading, getting a fifth for a seventh, yes, it's right. It's one of Dallas's compensatory picks, so it's right at the end of the fifth round. So you might as well view it as a beginning of the sixth round pick anyway. But it provides us with a bit of flexibility. Right, let's move on to the draft. We'll do the offense this week, and we will do the defense next week. Who the Patriots pick will depend, especially at that number 4 pick in round 1, will definitely depend on what goes on ahead of them. I think it's safe to say most people could bet their mortgage that Cam Ward will go to Tennessee. Tennessee chose to cancel Shedeur Sanders' private workout. They've closed the door to all trades on that pick. They are taking Cam Ward, and that's the end of it. I think where it gets interesting is at 2, whether the Browns take Hunter or whether they take Carter. I think if they take Carter, the Giants will take Hunter. I think if they choose to take Hunter, you could possibly see the Giants trade out of number 3 and trade in for somebody to take Carter. But ultimately, whether it's the Giants or whether it's somebody else or whether it's Carter and then Hunter or Hunter and then Carter, I think it's safe to say that those 3 will have left the board by the time the Patriots pick up 4. Again, I will be very surprised if they are not the first 3 off the board. So, moving on, getting to that point. While I don't think we are going to pick a QB early in the draft, it will probably be a later round pick, again, just as a new number 3 QB. I don't think we need to go into the QB market in great detail, but I've got Ward at 1, Sanders at 2, Dart at 3, McCord at 4, and Milrow at 5, with Sure just behind him at 6. Anybody got a great variance on that?
Yeah, I've got someone. Go on, Joe. You go first.
I've got the Oregon lad.
Yeah, so I'm the UCF, so I'm gonna back my guy all day.
Yeah,
I'm a huge Dylan Gabriel fan. Is he good enough to be a starter in the NFL? Time will tell, but I think he's a very, very dependable backup, and would be in my top 5.
I reckon, yeah, you'd sit him for a year or 2 and then plug him in somewhere.
Yeah,
very much would do that. But like I say, what is he? I
can see him having a great career as a
day 3
backup.
guy.
I can see him as being a great backup. I wouldn't be surprised to see someone like Miami perhaps go for him. He's left-handed. He trained with Tua. He's from Hawaii. That makes complete sense for me. Left-handed as well, so.
Yeah, so I'm not so high on Gabriel myself. I have Ward and Sanders 1, 2. I don't have Dart at 3. I, for the life of me, cannot understand where this hype is coming from. If Jackson Dart goes in the first round, that is an absolute travesty.
I can see him going Steelers, to be honest.
First round talent at all. I actually, people will hate this, but I have Ewers as my QB3. I know he's wildly inconsistent, but I think that he's the most talented of all the quarterbacks remaining on the board. Like, what he could be and what he has flashed is why I've got him there. I have Milrow at 5. Nick, I love your shout for Kyle McCord, because he's my sleeper QB, and he is the one guy I would be looking for us as Patriots as a day 3 pick, potentially to add as a 3rd string, because that guy is silky smooth, does everything right.
He will go day 2. He will be gone.
Do you think he will? Wow,
I think he's gone day 2. I think all those top 5 that I mentioned there, they will all be gone day 1 and day 2. I don't. Who've I got? My top QB for day 3 would be Will Howard, and is this
McCord guy, the guy from Syracuse?
He's my 7th. Yes.
Yeah, Syracuse. Yeah, he's just like good at everything. He doesn't like wow you with anything in particular, but he's just kind of good at everything. He's just a traditional pocket passer, accurate, good throwing down the field, good timing, anticipation, smart. Like he's going to be a good pro.
If I'm looking for a day 3 guy late on in day 3, I'm looking at someone like Rourke from the Indiana Hoosiers. He would be somebody I would consider late on. I don't think even someone like Riley Leonard is going to last past sort of round 4. So
really, I think I've got about a 7th round grade on Riley Leonard.
Oh dear.
The other one for me, why is there a fascination with Tyler Shuck? Like, the guy is going to be a 26-year-old rookie, and he's been absolutely decimated by injury problems his whole college career. Why are we even entertaining that as a potential day 2 or 3 option in the NFL? That guy should be like borderline UDFA. Like, I don't see what people are seeing with him.
Wow.
Louisville guy.
Wow. He's my number 6, man.
Someone who I'm a lot
Right,
higher on than a lot of
top
others as well. Someone I'm a lot higher on than I think a lot of people is Max Brosma.
Oh, yeah.
I really like him. I think he's he's gonna. I think that's a real. If we could pick him up day 3, I wouldn't be opposed to it at all. I think that'd be. Yeah, I like Max Brosma. That's my pick.
So let's move on. The other position that I want to get on straight away is running backs, because it is such a huge, full, deep running back draft this year that you can still be getting a high quality running back in probably round 5. That's how deep the class is. Now, so while a lot of people will say that, Gentry is the best running back in the class, and he is, and probably there's only him and Hampton that should be in the first round. Somebody that I was big on even before Christmas was Dylan Sampson. He's in my top 5.
Mine too.
You've got the 2 Ohio State boys, Trayvon Henderson and Quidyon Jenkins. They're also there in my top 5. That is my top 5. And 6 and 7,
wow,
I've got.
You don't have Scatterbo in your top 5.
Scatterbo.
I don't have Scatterbo's 7 for me. I've got
wow.
Caleb Johnson at 6 and Scatterbo at 7.
I've got Scatterbo at 3 on mine. I think that guy is so good. And his only downside is his speed. He ran a 4.65 40. But he's just so good at everything else. That guy is a monster. In the right scheme, he is going to absolutely eat. I really like him. Sampson, I really like as Nick. I think he's a bit undersized. Obviously, he's 5'8", but he's got plenty of juice. He's just so elusive, so quick, scores so many touchdowns, plays above his size. Really like him. Was it Joe? Was it you that was high on Sampson? Was it DJ or someone else in this group? I remember talking about him earlier.
Tennessee, because that's why I
like Sampson. He would be someone I would definitely look to add if he's available. For me, if I could have any running back in the 3rd round, if he's on the board, I would have Travion Henderson from Ohio State, because I think if you look at what we need as an organization, we already have a big guy in Ramondre Stevenson. So that kind of rules us out of needing someone like Scatterbo. We've got Antonio Gibson, who can do a bit of everything as a pass catcher. But one thing we're lacking in the backfield is juice, explosiveness, speed, someone that can hit a home run. Travion Henderson is just jacked up explosiveness. That guy is like shot out of a cannon. I love him. I think he would be an ideal fit.
I know I've mentioned him already. I'm going to mention him again because he brings more, especially if you can pick him up 4th, 5th, maybe even 6th. Give me RJ Harvey all day long. That guy is unbelievably
he's from
fast. Give me RJ Harvey.
Yeah.
He does look talented, but it's one of those, I can't, I only go 7 deep, and it's like RJ Harvey. Yeah, he would probably be my number 8, but you have to draw the lines. You have to cut off somewhere. I think it's safe to say we will be taking a running back. I think we probably will take a running back with one of the picks in I would say either 69, 77, which are both 3rd round picks, or possibly the 106th in the 4th round. They would be the picks I expect to take a running back. And I guess you'll just have to see who's on the board.
Another name I really like as a day 3 guy, probably going to go in round 4 or 5. Brashard Smith from SMU, former receiver, explosive, unbelievable with the ball in his hands, great speed, and obviously with that ability to, with his receiving background, Josh McDaniels loves a pass catching back. Going back to obviously with James White and Shane Vereen, I think that's a great fit in our system. If we could get him round 4 or 5, I think Brashard Smith would be a great pickup.
Can I just touch on something?
Go on.
I'm just going to throw it out there. Could there not be a scenario where we go for Genti at 4? Is there any slight doubt in mind that's not an option?
No.
You got to think.
Not for me.
Hunter's off the board. Carter's off the board. At 4,
we are going tackle or wide receiver. Trust me.
Yeah. You would relieve so much pressure off May, though, to have someone like Genti in your backfield.
The class is far too deep to consider a running back at 4 when you are so desperate in other. The tackle class, which we'll get onto at a moment, is not as deep. The wide receiver class is not as deep. The drop off after the first, say, 5, 6, 7 picks in those two positions drops off significantly, whereas the running back class doesn't. So you have to prioritize those positions where the class drops off significantly. They have to be higher priority than something like a running. If we were in a position where we could afford to take a running back, yes, great, brilliant, do it. But we are not in that position yet. We are in a state of dire need in other positions. So unfortunately, need outweighs skill. And looking at Gentry, and I don't mean to have a go at the guy, but for Boise State, yes, he played very well and he ran up the numbers, and you can argue that he should have won the Heisman, fine, whatever, But the moment he came up against a semi-level NFL defense in Penn State, they shut him down.
They swallowed him.
Full stop. He had great numbers when he was playing opposition at Boise State, but as soon as they got into the playoffs and he had to play a decent defense at Penn State, boom, see you later, nothing. He wasn't in the game. So while his numbers look great for who he played against, and you can only play who you play, I've said that on the college podcast, you can only play who you play. When you look at who he did play when it got a bit tougher, he wasn't necessarily as good as everyone thinks he is. Anyway, moving on. Right. I want to fly through the tight ends. We've got 2 tight ends at 31 years old. I am not saying we need to take a tight end, but if we get to the 3rd round and Taylor is still on the board, or Ferguson is still on the board,
I got Ferguson.
Gunnar Helm possibly, they are players we might want to consider. Now, for me, I've got Warren at 1, Loveland at 2, Arroyo at 3, Taylor at 4, Ferguson at 5, Helm at 6, and Luke Latchley at 7. Luke Latchley might be there late on. He could well be a day 3 pick in sort of 4th round, 5th round, because I don't think many people are high on him, but I really, really like the guy. We don't need a tight end, but if some quality is sitting there, it might be worth taking him. That would all I would be saying when it comes to tight ends.
Give me Harold Finnan.
Oh, yeah, Bowling Green.
I've got Harold Finnan as my 4th tight end.
I'm high on him. I've got him as my number 3. Yeah, I've got him as my number 3. I've got Ferguson at 4, just behind him. Loveland at 1. Warren at 2.
Fair enough. You haven't got Arroyo in.
Above who, though, man? That's the thing. Who are you putting him above?
I've got him at 3.
I think you could have them in so many different orders. I think there's so many clustered together in a little group that could be like you said, Helm. You've got Ferguson. You've got Arroyo, Fannin. There's a lot of guys you could have in different orders. I've got
these guys,
Warren, Loveland. I've got Mason Taylor at 3, Fannin at 4, Arroyo at 5, then Helm at 6, and Ferguson at 7. So that's where we're at with that. It's difficult because realistically, we're probably not going to take Loveland or Warren. The only way we might take Warren is if we trade down and he's just best player available. So you're looking at that mid-range, and I mean, I'd be kind of happy with any of those guys in the kind of third, fourth round range. I think there's much of a likeness. I think I'd maybe prefer someone like maybe Taylor, like just because he can block a little bit better. But like, if we take Harold Fanning, I'm fine with that. Like, he's a good receiver. He's just a little bit stiff in his route running, but like he's an excellent receiver. Like, yeah, I think there's much of a likeness. It's just take your pick of which one you want in that middle round.
Again, I will take Warren at 4.
Are you on glue?
What have you been? Yeah.
What have you been on?
Guy, listen out. If we're not going to get any of the top wide receivers in there, Warren is your safe option here. I'm telling you, he can block.
If we take Warren
like a wide receiver, tight end. It's, to me, he's like a Gronk. If you watch his tape and you watch him how he thingies with the ball and how he runs, and that is a mini Gronk.
If we take him at 4, I'm flying to Boston myself and slapping Elliot Wolf.
I'm gonna bring up my inner Carl right now, and I'm just gonna say,
Shut up, bitch.
There you go. Right, okay.
Well, at least
Carl would have booted him out.
He would have been booted right there.
If we trade down to like 9 or 10 and he's the best player on the board, fair enough. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
But you can't take him at 4.
If we take him at 4 and leave people like T-Mac on the board, I swear to God, I will slap Elliot.
I'm not high on Mac.
That is a perfect segue into where we're going next. We are going to wide receivers. Well done, Joe. That was a perfectly transitioned piece. Wide receivers. I've got Hunter at 1, assuming he is a wide receiver. Tech-Mac at 2. Golden at 3. Egbuka at 4. Burden at 5. Jaden Higgins at 6. And Eric from Stanford at 7. And I nearly put somebody else on that board just so I don't have to say his surname, but that would be unfair. I nearly called him Banana Man after Eric, but never mind. Anybody else got some different wide receivers?
So hear me out on this because it's a controversial one, but he's in my top 5. And I don't think everyone's going to agree. He didn't have a great year last year, but the speed alone, give me Isaiah Bond.
Yeah, man.
Give me Isaiah Bond. Like I'm a big Isaiah Bond fan. I loved him at Alabama. I thought he didn't have a great year last year at Texas at all, but he has got unbelievable speed, and I think he's flexible enough to play either outside or inside. And I'm not saying I'm going to take him at 4 because I think Kieran and I, for as long as possible, have been on the T-Mac train. I think others have started to join us now. More than welcome. There's more than enough room. But yeah, if you're looking for a second round pick, would I be upset if we took Isaiah Bond?
I wouldn't take Bond that early. If he's still there at 106 at the beginning of day 3 in the 4th round, then I'd take Bond. Yes, but I'd be very reluctant to take him any higher than the end of the 3rd, big time.
Yeah, the one thing that really riles me with, or maybe not riles me, but obviously we need a receiver. But when I was going through these evaluations, I was kind of trying to separate them into, what we need and whatnot. There are so many slot receivers in this class. There are very little outside guys. Now, there are many people, draft analysts and people in the media that are doing mock drafts that are having us take players like Egbuka, Burden, Jack Besh, Jalen Knoll. You just mentioned Isaiah Bond. All good players, but they're all slot receivers. So you're going to come into a team where we already have Pop Douglas. They're already talking about Jalen Polk playing in the slot this year because it's where he played at college primarily, and it might be better for him to develop long term. So you don't really need a slot receiver. So if you draft a Burden, a Buka, or one of the Besh or someone like that, they're redundant in our system, to be honest. And or you're just getting rid of one of those other guys. So for me, it narrows down the search for specifically for New England. So it's McMillan, it's Golden, it's Jaden Higgins, it's Ayamana, or it's Trey Harris from Ole Miss. They are the only guys that are perimeter boundary receivers that I can see coming in and making an impact. Because as you get further down the list, you're looking at developmental guys. But there is a very limited amount of receivers out there that fit the mold of what we actually need for this team. So I think we've got to be very selective. Don't just take Burden or Ibuka for the sake of the fact they're good players.
Higgins
How are you going to use them? So I really like Trey Harris from Ole Miss. I'm a big fan of him. I think he'd be an outstanding X receiver. I watched him, and the first thought was, that's Nico Collins. And if we can get a Nico Collins in the third round, brilliant. But I also like the fact that Nick mentioned Jaden Higgins being so high on his board, because he's big, but he's also fast, and he's an outstanding vertical receiver. So I'd be all in on Jaden in round 2.
My issue at wide receiver is we've brought in Hollins at free agency, and we've brought in Diggs. So there's 2 spots. You've got Douglas, Butte, and Bourne. There are your 3 more spots. So you have 1 spot for a draft pick or Jalen Polk. Now, me personally, from what I've seen, I would send Jalen Polk to the practice squad. If someone picks him up off waivers, so be it. But at the end of training camp, when it comes to narrowing down your roster, Polk for me would go to the practice squad, because he needs a lot of work. So if you're saying, right, you've got Hollins, you've got Diggs, you've got Bourne, you've got Douglas, you've got Butte, you pick what you need. And if it's Golden, if it's Tech-Mac, fine. But where I have a big issue is you have this number 4 pick. You can turn this number. I have been saying this for months. You can turn this number 4 pick into a number 8 pick, number 9 pick, still pick up a tackle, and get yourself another second round pick. And that would free you up greatly. I think if you are going to pick a wide receiver at 4, I'll get into that in a minute when we get into tackles. If you are going to take a wide receiver at 4, for me, it has to be Tech-Mac that early. But I've said this, I don't want to be picking at 4. I want to move down for more picks. I'm not, but I'm understanding right now, based on no trades, for me, if you say, right, pick a wide receiver at 4, for me, it would be Tech-Mac. But, again, I go back to the same point I made to you about running backs. You have your needs and you have depth of class. There is enough depth of class at wide receiver to get someone like Jaden Higgins in the second round, and he is high enough quality for what you need that frees you up to pick somebody else in the first round. That's where my depth is, that wide receiver should be your second round pick.
The only thing is with Tech is that ever since I saw that video, I don't know if he was bullshitting or not, if it's true or not, whatever the case may be, where he doesn't enjoy football, doesn't watch any tape, and he just considers it just a normal job.
That video was genuinely true. Right, he did say that, but do you know when he said that? 3 years ago, going into college. He said that video was recorded 3 years ago. Who at 16, 17, 18? Who at 18 wants to watch football watch footage and watch game tape? Tom Brady did, because Tom Brady is Tom Brady. But no kid at 18 wants to sit there and watch game tape. I'm not surprised he said that. But again, he said that 3 years ago. Lo and behold, it comes out now because somebody wants him to drop There's a scout somewhere or an agent somewhere that says if we release that now, maybe we can try and get tech to drop to us at such a body, or maybe my guy might get picked ahead of it. Argument's sake, and I'm not saying this is true, maybe Mr. Agent of Mr. Wide Receiver, who's second on the list, would like his guy to be first on the list. So he releases that video, to try and get the guy to fall. I'm not saying the guy did say it. That's very true. But he said it 3 years ago, going into college.
The other wide receiver I've got on my board, well, he's not on my board, but he's like way, way low. I think you could probably get him around 5th, 6th, is the Miami wide receiver who reminds me a lot like Edelman, Wes Welker, Renfro. Is that, I can't even
Xavier Restrepo.
Restrepo, that's it. He's not fast and he's small, but
his 40 time is going to kill him.
Yeah, I know, but it's more about being reliable
player
and open.
What was this? Was this 40 time about 4.5, wasn't it? 4.52?
4.7.
4.7.
Yeah. But he said it was down to his hamstring tightness. But he's going to be a really good slot receiver for someone that's good. He's probably going to go in like the 3rd round. He's going to be a good slot receiver, but he's going to run past.
I didn't realize he ran I didn't realize it was like a 4.7. I thought it was about 4.52.
The only thing I will say,
to begin with, and then got quicker.
The only thing I will say about the combine, and this is something that a lot of people fall into the trap. Just because the combines happened doesn't mean you forget everything you've seen beforehand. Tape is ultimately what you watch every week. If a guy looks absolutely the dog's bollocks on tape throughout an entire season or 2 seasons and looks amazing, and then he doesn't have a great combine, right? Are you seriously going to tell me that one drill is going to take more in significance than 2 years of tape? This is what I think so many people forget. They watch the combine, they watch an amazing stat or someone not have a great run a slow 40 time, and they think, oh, well, he's not very good. You've got tape there that tells you how good he is. Don't forget the ultimate thing, which is game tape, which is game after game after game of him doing what he's being asked to do.
Yeah, a prime example of that from a wide receiver perspective, but the opposite side is Ross. Runs at the time a record, and everyone's wowing about him without actually looking back at his tape. And he wasn't that great at college, I don't think. And it's all subjective. Going back to DJ's point, Restrepo's a good enough player that he will probably go in the 3rd round. No doubt he will go a little bit lower than he would have gone because of that slow 40 time. But that is a factor. But yeah, you're right. He's good enough on tape to still be drafted in that range. I did have a sleeper, but it seems like he's everyone's favorite sleeper. And that's Kyle Williams from Washington State, because that guy is just like Zay Flowers. He's just juiced up. But yards after the catch, takes a short screen 60 yards. I mean, he's probably gone from being like a 5th, 6th round pick to maybe a borderline 3rd in this offseason. I really like him. I'm not sure he's someone that we necessarily need. As I said, I don't think we need a slot guy, but I think he'll be a nice pick for someone in those mid rounds. I mean, another one for me, another mid round guy is Jameer Dyke. Jameer Dyke, whatever his name, from Florida.
He didn't, even watching him all last year, he didn't sort of like that. I don't know whether it was just the way that, the team was, but he just didn't stand out. He just got lost in the shuffle of all the, of every game he was playing in. He did what he was asked to do, but he didn't sort of like, he didn't shine. He didn't show anything snazzy. It was just like, it was just very sort of average and regular, very solid. Yeah, it was solid. And I think you get to this point, you're looking for something to. I mean, he will get selected. He probably won't get selected that high, But you just at this sort of time, you're looking for that X factor, that thing to stick out. And I just didn't see anything from him last year to say that he had something worth jumping on. I want to get to tackles and guards now. I've had since as early as I can remember, since Christmas, in fact, when I did my first board, I have had Josh Simmons as my number one tackle. That has not changed. Yes, he's been injured. We will probably get something this next week or two from his pro day as to how fit he is. If that man is fit, that man you take that. I wouldn't take him at 4. I'd trade down a little bit, but I've got Simmons at 1, Member at 2, Campbell at 3, Banks at 4, Connolly at 5, Irsay at 6, and Marcus Bowe at 7 out of Purdue. Now they are just my tackles. I think you will probably see all but 2 of them go in the first round. You may even see 6 of those go in the first round. I don't have an issue with Will Campbell's arm length. I really don't. If you look at what he measured in the combine, again, compared to what he measured at the pro day, his arms suddenly grew by half an inch. And you think, well, that might be a bit subjective. But then suddenly, every tackle who measured at the combine has had their at pro days has been measured half an inch bigger. It seems to be at the combine they measured wrong. Is the consensus I'm picking up from so many people, because so many tackles have had their arm length increased by about half an inch. So I don't have a problem with Campbell's arm length. I've watched him, he's come in at LSU as a freshman at Baton Rouge. He's played as a freshman. He's played solidly for 3 years. It goes back to what I said about tape and combine. Forget what you see at the combine. That helps you make a decision, but it shouldn't be what you base your decision on. 3 years of tape. Campbell is an awesome left tackle. He may end up being a guard, so be it. But I would give that guy a chance at tackle. I don't have a problem with him, but he's just not my favourite left tackle.
So you would get him at 4?
No, I wouldn't get a tackle at 4. I'd drop down.
I think we need to be prepared for the scenario, and that's probably going to happen, though. I think at this current moment in time, it seems to be the chalk. I'm with
Campbell.
you, Nick. I have exactly the same top 3 as you do in the exact order. I think Simmons has by far the highest upside. I like Membu, but it worries me about flipping a primarily right tackle over to the left. We tried that last year with Caden Wallace. I know, obviously, Membu is a lot better player, but I do think that Campbell is probably the best fit for us in terms of schematic fit. And I think we do have to prepare ourselves for the eventuality of him being our left tackle. I also agree with you, Nick, that I think that if it was me at 4 and we had to pull the trigger, I would rather trade down and try and get Campbell maybe at somewhere like 8 or 9. I'd feel much better about taking him there than at 4. Although, as I said, I do think that
Simmons at 8 or 9.
Sorry?
You get Simmons at 8. You would get Simmons at 8 or 9. You probably get
Simmons is going to go in the 20s, I think.
How's this for something that could conceivably happen? This is not out of the depth of believability. I think the Raiders are going one of 2 players. I think they're going Gentry, who's my favourite for them to pick, but I think they could pick Tetmac. Now, assuming, as we spoke earlier, assuming Ward, Hunter, and Carter, in whatever order, have gone off the board, you are at number 4. Chicago at 10 may be willing to come up to 4 for Gentry. Gentry's the only thing they need on their offense, a running back. Now, you might be able to sell to Chicago. If you want Gentry, you need to be ahead of the Raiders. you might be able to get Chicago to come up to 4 for Gentry. Now, if you're asking me, would I trade down to 10? I would, depending on what Chicago are willing to give me. That'd be one of those number 2 picks.
I think this draft, the draft period for me, 1, 2, and 3. That's it. After New York, I think it dies down. I can't see anyone paying to come up to get any of those people that are left on the board. If that means Ward, Hunter, and Carter have gone, I honestly can't.
I can see the Saints coming up for Shedeur Sanders.
Yes, exactly. Kieran, I was about to say the exact same. I really can, just because I think they'd be. Yeah, because where are Saints picking? They're picking
9.
So Raiders ahead of them, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Raiders.
The problem
again, that's another one you can play off.
The problem the Saints have is they have so much need across in the trenches. They have so much need in the trenches. Spending draft picks to come up is not really in the realms of possibility for them. I mean, they could, but I doubt they will. I think they'd much rather stay at 9 and pick who best available, whether it's Jihad Campbell, whether it's Membu, because I think don't get me wrong, if the Jets pick Warren at 7, which I think they might do, then expect the Saints to take Membu at 9. Now, if the Jets take Membu, I would expect the Saints to possibly take either Campbell or Jihad Campbell or Will Campbell or Banks, depending on who's there. They need numbers in the trenches across the board, and I don't think they can be spending draft picks to move up. So I don't think the Saints would actually like to. Now, don't get me wrong. If they can get Sanders at 9, they might do. But I just think their needs elsewhere mean they probably will consider maybe a QB in round 2 rather than round 1. But I think there is going to be trade possibilities on draft day. I don't expect many trades in the next 2 weeks before the draft, but on draft night, I expect there to be quite a few trades available.
Yeah, just
if you had to pick someone then at 4, who you all going?
If I'm picking up 4,
if you're on the clock right now, no one's calling. Where you going? What you doing?
I'm picking Will Campbell at 4. If I have to pick up 4,
so I don't know.
I'm picking T-Mac.
If Carter and Hunter,
if Carter and Hunter have gone, it's T-Mac.
I'm gone. Yeah,
it's McMillan or Campbell. That is it. They're the only 2 players that I would be willing to sit and pick. If Hunter and Carter are off the board, I'm looking to trade down, and if no one's calling, you take one of Campbell or McMillan.
Campbell.
I think with Campbell, like he's good. Like people keep talking about the arm length. I know it's going to be a concern for some people, but it's not just that. The wingspan is a concern, and also the fact that he's a very narrow-looking player. If you look at that body type, like he's got narrow shoulders, like he doesn't look thick like a tackle should, and that's a little bit of a worry. But his play is very good. So it's so hard to try and project him. See,
I mean, Vrabel's always said he wants to build from the trenches. So.
See, I'm a bit of a traditionalist in the sense that I like my offensive linemen to be like beasts. So that's why I have Ariante Ursary as my number 4 overall tackle for Minnesota. I absolutely love Ariante Ursary. He's 6'6", 330, but he's incredibly athletic to go with it. That guy would be like moving a double wardrobe on your own, but the wardrobe's on wheels.
I do that every week.
One side is sliding. The guy is a beast. Now the thing that will ding him is that he doesn't have very good, like he's quite upright in his blocking style, and that he doesn't have very good bend. But that, some teams will see that as an issue, others won't. If I've got an absolute behemoth left tackle of that size, when you're matched up to him at 6'6", 330, and he can move with you laterally because of his athleticism, I genuinely think he could be a monster. And that I would be, if we take a receiver in the first round, Ursary, I'm sprinting the card in at pick number 39 in round 2.
Here he is. Look at the smile on his face. Look at the smile on his face.
Good evening, gentlemen.
You got to change that to
for those that are not watching,
Carl, you can't have Arteta out on your screen after tonight. Come on.
Right. Carl, welcome to the show right at the end. We did at the beginning do an introduction for anyone who's new to the show, seeing as we've just joined the network. So, we've all done our thing. Do you want to just give an introduction to yourself? I know there'll be people on the AAW network that know you anyway from Hurdle the Line, same as me. But, do you just want to give anyone who's new to the show a quick hello and who you are?
Yeah, my name's Carl. I am the actual host of this podcast. Nick's just stepping in for me because I had other duties to take care of tonight. Obviously, anybody watching on YouTube right now, you can understand what I'm doing. But no, it's good to finally gonna be back, a brand new season, and compared to what it was like last season, it's a lot more exciting compared to what it was. There's a lot more. It's a lot more promise. There's a lot more hope going into this season. You only need to see or hear what Mike Vrabel has said in press conferences to see, okay, we've already got the right man involved now, and that's what we do. And I've been sitting in the background watching you talk regarding of where you sit at 4 and that. And there are multiple different ways that you could go. You take Will Campbell, take Ted McMillan, trade down for possible get more picks. I'm open to whatever the situation occurs to, really. I think there's not one bad option. The only bad option I could see us doing if we do completely go zigzagging is if we do take Ashton Gentry.
Told you.
Yeah.
No, I said Warren.
Yeah. Tyler Warren. Oh, you've been listening to Phil Perry's podcast too much. He said that in one of his mocks.
Did he?
He traded down to 9 and he took Tyler Warren. He said, "Can you
imagine?" I would do that. 9.
Warren,
he said, "Could you imagine?" He said, "Could you imagine though, Josh McDaniels having fun with Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper, and Tyler Warren playing a 13-man personnel since we're going to run the ball very heavily." But that's a bonkers way of thinking it.
Einstein up here next to me. Einstein said he'd take Gentry at 4, and I said, right, I'm going to embrace my inner Carl here, and I played the rock. So, let's get on to guards before we lose control of this. Right, guards, I've got Zabel at 1, Booker at 2, Donovan Jackson at 3, Savanair at 4, and then we go into day 3, and I've got Milam, Routledge, and Connor Colby as my 7th choice and a sleeper.
We are very close, Nick, in our top 5 interior O-line.
Great minds think alike, Kieran. Great minds think alike.
I just have Milam and Savanair around the other way, but literally we are so close on that. So I'm glad that we're on the same. Savanair will be a great player.
I love that guy.
Love a name.
I've said it all along. Give me a big, scary, horrible fucking Samoan guy on the line who just wants to kill people every time he's taken a snap.
Factually, not literally, but
either way, yes, build the trenches with a big Samoan guy. Thank you very much.
Carl, what do you like at guard? Is there anybody that screams to you?
The guard out of West Virginia?
Wyatt Milam.
Wyatt Milam.
I would take him as one of our second, third round pick, which is Atlanta's. I would probably end up taking him with that pick. Is he going to be there in the 4th round?
Yeah,
I doubt it.
I doubt it. So I will probably say we'll take him at the third. The guards I haven't been too much
If you
looking
get him with
into.
pick 77, that's a steal, Carl.
Yeah, that's the only issue. Is he going to still be there? Are we going to have to risk taking him with our pick at 69?
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm slightly concerned about. If we
I
have
love a
to take it.
69 pick.
Oh, we all know that.
Pause.
Just saying. Carry on. Sorry.
No, you've put me off my stride now. But no, I haven't really looked at guards because we seem to have plenty. We've seen plenty of them. I have been just looking at the tackle position because that's always been the biggest of needs, really.
Okay, so a question we had just before you joined us was: you are picking up 4, no trades. Nobody wants to come up and trade with you. You are picking up 4. Ward is gone. Sanders is Hunter is gone, and Carter is gone. Those 3 have gone. You are picking up 4. No trades available. Who are you taking?
Sorry. So again, I was just typing in something. What was it?
You are picking up 4. No trades.
Yep.
Hunter's gone. Carter's gone. Ward is gone. Who are you taking?
Will Campbell.
Right. Fair enough.
I just think that you look at the tackle position. Who's at left tackle right now? It's Vadarian Lowe. And as much as I've seen a lot of people turn around and say, "Oh, they're worried about his arm length, his 33-inch arm length, this, that, and the other." Yes, that is a deficit that he has. But I've watched a lot of tape on him, and what he lacks in the arm length, his footwork, his maneuvering, how he gets off the line quickly once that ball is snapped. He's very good with his feet. He's very good with his body. He knows how to. I think it was Shamir Stewart. I think I saw a load of taping of him and Shamir Stewart. He absolutely put him in the ground. I don't know how many times. So I wouldn't be against the idea of Will Campbell. I'm not against the idea. I think Tet McMillan. Look, I think it's a very good receiver. But when I heard the report that he doesn't watch film, that's a straight up red flag in my personal book.
3 years ago.
Maybe that was 3 years ago. It might be better in the NFL, but I think you could get receivers later down the board. Jalen Knoll springs to mind out of Iowa State. He's a receiver I look at, very versatile, can play multiple positions. But yeah, I would take Campbell at 4. If no trades, you stuck a gun to my head, I would take Will Campbell at 4. Embu is a right tackle. Embu is a right tackle. We don't need a right tackle. I think Moses is going to hold down that line pretty well. You've got Caden Wallace playing as a swing tackle as well, so he could be the backup. So we need blindside help. You get that left side of that line sorted. Drake May is going to feel a lot more comfortable next season.
Okay, so hypothetical question for the group then. I'm going to throw this one out there for everyone. So first 2 picks. Would you rather have Will Campbell and Jaden Higgins or T-Mac and someone like Ursery or Connolly in round 2?
Connolly's not going to be there in round 2.
He might be there right at the beginning. He might just be there.
The Kansas City Chiefs need to rebuild that O-line. They are taking a left tackle by hook or by hook.
Maybe I'll rephrase it. So
the
first pick is someone like so. It's either go with Campbell at 4 or T-Mac at 4, and then the other position the other way around. I will allow anyone to suggest a trade up because that could be an option. We could trade back into the first round for someone like Connolly, Simmons, Ursery.
I'd go T-Mac.
Which way round would you prefer it?
T-Mac.
I would.
Simmons. I would love that.
Imagine.
I would go.
Plus your tackle.
I would go Campbell and Higgins if I can't trade back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going. Yeah. Campbell. I think. I don't know. I'm saying T-Mac. I don't know. I think if gone through my head at 4, I'm going T-Mac. and then trading back up into the late first round if it's not going to cost too much.
Even for Connolly, I'll take Connolly as well. T-Mac and Connolly. Simmons would be my better option.
You got to see.
There's still room on the Ursary Express. We stick him next to Savanaya with Mike Nwenu and Morgan Moses, and we've got 4 enormous linemen and little Garrett Bradbury in the middle. That's our line for next season. Perfect.
I think you just need Rashard Smith further down the draft. You need a pass catching back. Rashard Smith, yeah.
We spoke about him earlier in the pod. Yeah, like him.
Yeah.
He's not on my list, but fair enough. Simple, I said this earlier. You've got so many choices. That's such a deep class there that you've got 100 possibilities of what people could have. So, Anyway, we'll wrap this up now because we've done it long enough. Carl, thank you for joining us right at the end. I'm glad you're happy. I refer to my text earlier this week. If you get this done, you are the favourites. To the rest of the guys, thank you very much for joining us. To everyone watching, listening, thank you very much. To anyone who is new, thank you. We hope you enjoyed the show. Come back and listen again. Next week, I believe we are doing defense. So, Carl, I assume you're back in the chair next week.
I'll be back in the chair next week, yeah.
Okie dokie.
With the right attire
with the right attire on, okay. In which case, all that I will say from all of us here at the Patriots Touchback podcast, have a good week, and we will see you again.